ultimately for us to do the great work that we do, and, I am, I don't mean to sound egotistical, but it really is.
It is great work.
You're
well known for what, as a matter of fact, you were one of a select group of 22 New Yorkers that received the 2008 Environmental Quality Award from the EPA.
Yes.
Didn't know I was going to.
Very pleased by that award.
That's wonderful. So, I mean, obviously, that's a prestigious environmental award and rightly deserved. And also, you received the Dennis Pulston Conservation Award in '09.
That was
a good You're doing great work.
Thank you. It's nice to be recognized, but I mean, more importantly, it's ultimately seeing the results of our efforts, come to fruition.
Right,
no discharge zones, correcting, stormwater pollution, a more ambitious, I guess, issue that we will be taking on shortly through our Baywatch program, which is fairly new. It's 3 years in the making now. What we try to achieve through this program on an annual basis is to report to the community based on what we consider meaningful environmental health indicators, the state of our bays. We look at shellfish stocks, finfish stocks, extent of wetlands, water quality. Is
this what you sent out? Was this what I received
yes.
in the mail? And you sent it out to all of Suffolk? Or?
Pretty much. I mean, it was, I think, 110, 120,000
And it was pieces. So informative. I kept it. I mean, I still have it, and I meant to bring it today. I forgot.
It's a good resource. It's a good reference because, oftentimes, the good scientific institutions and, our government agencies, the health department, for instance, they do great work in monitoring and collecting data for water quality, et cetera.
Nobody's really seeing that happen. It's like behind the scenes.
And I guess the other consideration, that data may end up in a report that is this thick, and
no one's gonna
makes a scientist-sized glass over trying to read it. So what we try to do is obtain all these data sets, distill them down into a graphic that tells the story and in an easy to understand way. And then, most importantly, make recommendations that are going to, ultimately lead to solutions to some of these problems. What are the things we need to do to ensure that, our scallop population recovers? And principally eelgrass beds, for instance. But the one issue that will be controversial, but I'd argue it's the elephant in the room, and that's the state of our on-site sanitary systems, residential cesspools. I mean, we're in basically a big sandbar on Long Island, particularly East End. Ultimately, these cesspools leach out. Heavy nitrogen concentrations work their way into the local streams and creeks. And that, again, excessive nitrogen levels then in turn can trigger, algal blooms, brown tides, other algal growth that leads to water quality degradation.
And the death of a lot of
fish
species
kills,
if the oxygen gets depleted. That whole process,
for the viewers, when we're like a fertilizer on a plant, on a shrub in your yard, too much nitrogen in the waterways, trigger this growth, this plant growth within the water column, and they're short-lived. So when they die off after a couple weeks or a month, that decomposition then just strips the oxygen out of the water, and that's when you end up with the collateral damage with fish kills and crab kills.
Sure, that people have heard about with the Long Island Sound, the anoxic zones all heading west to east, and there's the dead zone in the Gulf of Mexico. These are growing throughout the world. I mean, they're just becoming a major problem, and if people can move to more natural, well, the nitrogen that you're speaking of is coming from the cesspools, but also from the fertilizing the lawns.
Fertilizers as well, and it's I think through the public health codes, sanitary health codes, we have to start, I think, providing greater protection, through these systems.
My water was tested. It came up fecal coliform in my well water, and now I have public water. And that's horrible. I mean, that's telling you that in my own well water, we've got sewage. I mean, that's really bad.
Well, it may not be the right analogy, but if you can picture a seeping tea bag, that's how basically a septic system would work, in the ground. Ultimately, the concentrations over time will increase. If they work that groundwater works its way to a drinking water well, it's shot.
Yeah, I wonder if there's any kind of biological or way to, modernize these. These septic systems have been used the same thing for many, many, many years, and no one's,
We have looked at Cape Cod and New Jersey as actually model codes, and something that is not occurring here on Long Island. These other jurisdictions are embracing more advanced technologies to these systems that are very
biological methods.
They're both biological, as chemical processes in some cases, and this is, I guess, the the critique on them is they may require pumps that ultimately then we're consuming more energy, but ultimately these systems are effective at denitrification. So what would leave one's property in a conventional septic system versus these upgraded systems, it's much lower levels of nitrogen, and then ultimately we're not stressing our waterways with excessive nitrogen levels. In fact, Stony Brook, and you may be aware of this, they are installing a living system.
Right.
They're upgrading their sanitary system for their expansion of the campus, and being proactive and progressive as they are, they got authorization.
You're going to have fish swimming in the end result.
Yes,
yeah.
Fish, and I believe the system, would be kind of greenhouse style, and I may be talking out of my ear, but ultimately, I think living plants and and microbes that as the waste stream moves through the living system, it will denitrify. So it's really positive stuff. Again, I think any ills that we've placed on any insults to our waters are in fact reversible, but we have to find the wherewithal to commit. I think number one, I would ask the community to really adopt an environmental ethos, in the sense that we really have to cherish what we have, because we can lose it, and to prioritize again these resources, and then in turn become within our own comfort level activists toward encouraging our elected officials and our other leaders to adopt the necessary policies that are going to lead to greater protection.
And every person can make a difference, whether they do something personally or enlist their elected official, or they can help your organization by becoming a member.
Yes,
They can volunteer to help you at beach cleanups and other
we did a great cleanup on Shinnecock Bay last summer, and we had roughly 50 to 75 volunteers. And
you called me for that, but I was on an island in the
we took all the marine debris off of about 3 miles of marsh, and filled, I think, 2 or 3
that's important.
huge dumpsters, and just got all this garbage off of the marsh that really shouldn't be there.
End up in the water or just sitting on the marsh.
It sits there, and just not only ecologically but aesthetically. I mean, you drive down our beautiful road ends and look over our waters. Who wants to see garbage on an open area?
We've got 30 seconds. We're running out of time.
Okay.
And I just want to encourage people to check out your website, because
Please.
there's a wonderful amount of information on there, and they can go find other links and other ways to help the planet and become a member of the Peconic Baykeeper.
Yes, please support us. I mean, obviously, we rely on community support, financial support, but more importantly, moral support. The community can empower my organization to be more effective by just, being behind us.
That's
and then
great.
when I stand at the podium and speak to the elected board, they're like looking beyond me and realizing, East Hampton Town
bunch
is
of people behind you.
Yes, exactly. Even if they're not present,
Great. Thank you. Thank you
Thank
so
you very much.
Kevin. You're
Thanks
going to
for
have to come
having
back again.
I would love to. Thank you.
Great. Thank you.